Hello. I was chatting the other day with Rose from Wholesome Roots, and we were talking about the people who had inspired us as children. And we got to thinking, and we thought it would be a really nice thing to do would be to look at some of the people who've been a real inspiration throughout our lives. So not just now, but in the past, as well as people who are inspiring us now towards our future. And we also want to extend this invitation to you to make a vlog or a blog or whatever you want to share the people that have inspired you to get to where you are now. And if you'd like to get involved, that would be absolutely brilliant. Make sure when you've uploaded your video that you either leave a link with Rose or with me. It doesn't matter which, because we will both add it to the People That Inspire Me playlist. So hopefully some of them will be funny, some of them will be thought-provoking, but hopefully they'll all be interesting. So I'm going to do a super duper quick rundown of the people who've inspired me and the brief reasons why. So the person who has been the biggest inspiration in my life has been my sister. I have never met anyone as grounded and as comfortable in their own skin as she is, and she is generous and she is kind and she can see the bigger picture, and she doesn't get caught up in tittle tattle and minutiae. She is just a fabulous human being, and she works with other people, giving of herself most of the time, and she's just ace. And you know, if she wasn't my sister, I would absolutely choose to have her as a very close friend. These are in no particular order, other than they're in the order that I'm remembering them. So the next is a gentleman called Gordon Wilson, who was an Irishman, and during the Irish Troubles, bomb was planted at Inniskillen, and he was caught up in the rubble, as was his daughter. And at the time, he did an interview afterwards where he talked about the final conversation he had with his daughter, and it was heartbreaking. It was a heartbreaking thing to watch. But the bit that I found truly inspirational is that afterwards he said of the bombers, "I bear them no ill will. I bear no grudges." And he then went on to campaign for conciliation, reconciliation, and peace for the rest of his life. And to me, that level of deep understanding of human beings, I just find amazing. And he has inspired me through a lot of my life to try and understand other people's viewpoints, and to not hold grudges, because in the end the only person a grudge hurts is me if I'm holding that grudge, because the person I have a grudge about probably doesn't even know about it. I'm probably an insignificant little blip. So Gordon Wilson has been a true inspiration to me. My third person who has inspired me greatly is Maya Angelou. I absolutely adore her writing, and the reason she inspires me is that she can find humour in adversity. She is so eloquent in her writings, and she has an ability to just capture a moment in words and make it so that it becomes a really good picture in my head. And anyone who has that kind of skill, I admire, but it inspires me to try and to express myself more clearly, and which, you know, for making vlogs is a really good thing to be able to do. Number 4 is Leonardo da Vinci. So not anyone I've ever known. He was obviously around a few centuries before me, but the reason that Da Vinci inspires me is because he was obviously a very clever guy and a visionary, as in being able to imagine things, and he thought outside the box all the time, and I really like that. And that, seeing some of the works that he's done has inspired me to just go, okay, well, the obvious thing is this. Is there another way of thinking about the thing that I'm trying to do that would work even better? So yeah, definitely an inspiration. Number 5, and probably should be up amongst my first and also my last, and if I could put this person into a list of those who've inspired me, he'd probably be there 3 times. This is Jeff Hamilton, who was a television presenter, and he presented Gardener's World on a Friday night. And when I first really got into gardening, I was glued to the telly every Friday night for half an hour while he took us on a journey through his garden and through his exploration of organic gardening, which, you know, at the time, organic gardening here in the UK was not mainstream, and he helped to make that a mainstream thing for gardeners, for us to think about what we're doing with our soil and what we're doing with anything we spray in the garden or put in the garden. And he's inspired me very much in my gardening life and my journey into organic gardening. And the next one is Shane Williams, who he still is, but what he was known for, he was a rugby player for several Welsh clubs and also for Wales. And he was, even from primary school age onwards, was told that he was too little and he was too weak and he wasn't strong enough to be able to play rugby. And he loved the game so much, and he was so determined to do it, that he worked really, really hard, and sure enough, then played for Wales and was capped an incredible number of times, 80 something times, that he represented his country. And what I find inspiring in Shane Williams is that grit and that determination, that as the underdog and seen as a weakling, he used all of those things to find his inner strength and turn that potential difficulty into a positive. Absolute inspiration to me, and I wish I had known a character like Shane Williams when I was much younger. And then there's a man that I met in the late 80s, early 90s, who had dedicated his life to making other people's lives better. And that was a man called Mark Gale, and he worked in Gloucestershire, in the neighbourhood projects in Gloucestershire, and he promoted neighbourhoodliness and community spirit, and people working together and doing joined up thinking to tackle social issues at a local level and at a county-wide level. His grit, his determination, and those are things that I like in people. But not just that, it was his humility. His humility inspired me. I really like people who do amazing things, but don't need to shout about it. They don't need to wear a badge. They don't need to tell you how good they are or what they've been doing that's so good. They just get on and do it quietly and don't need the glory of the acknowledgement. In my previous career, I worked with charities and non-profit organisations, and to have worked alongside Mark and to see how he approached his daily life was truly inspirational. And I took away from my time working with Mark a healthy dose of humility being a really rather nice trait. And more recently, I've been inspired by Mr. J's mother, who's sadly no longer with us, but meeting her was like a breath of fresh air. She absolutely didn't mince her words and was so careful and so kind and so generous in her friendship and her love for people. And as I get older, I would very much like to be as feisty and as loving and as giving as she was. and the inspiration to start vlogging, that came from Dan and Ashley at Grass-Fed Homestead, and I just love their gentle approach to talking to a camera and to sharing their lives, and watching the beginning of their journey just made me say, okay, I can pick up a camera, I can be who I am, and that's okay. So thank you, Dan and Ashley. And the final one is in fact not a person, but a group of people. They are the people who very quietly create a movement for social change. Whatever area it is that social change is happening in, we get to hear about a few people who are the ones that are highlighted, and behind them there will be a great raft of other people who are just doing the do, walking the walk, whatever the phrase is, that enables some people to then be the mouthpiece, and they're the ones that we hear about, but actually the people that inspire me are the ones in the background, and they to me are unsung heroes, and that inspires me. So there you go, those are my 9 people who have inspired me. There are umpty others, but I've just picked out some. So if you would like to make a video, that would be absolutely fantastic. Send the link either to me or to Rose over at Wholesome Roots. We'll make sure it's included on the playlist, and it would be really great if you would join in. And so, wherever you are in the world and whatever you're up to today, I hope it's a good one for you. And I also hope you can join me again tomorrow.